Good day, everyone,
Hello, everyone.
and welcome to the 9th Mixed Analog Live Q&A webinar.
It's one less than 10, so the next one's going to be an anniversary.
Yeah, it's getting to be a real tradition.
And a good one.
Yeah, so to all of you that were so early that are already watching, if you're here for the first time, the point of this whole webinar is for you to ask questions about mixed analog. So if it's technical, if it's about the use cases, if it's about one particular piece of gear, is it about our roadmap or the features that you would like to see, everything that you would like to know that even remotely regards mixed analog, don't hesitate, please write it in the comments and let us know, and we'll try to answer.
Yeah, so use the live chat functionality to pose your questions. We will answer them as we come across them. And for those of you guys who might have just randomly clicked on this link, Mix Analog is a web application that we do, me and Ziga and a few other guys, that allows you to use analog gear remotely. And you can use it to master, to do sound design, to do all kinds of very nice sound processing with very nice vintage gear or modern analog gear. We have a lot of that. And yeah, that's what it's used for. And if you haven't checked it out yet, it's on mixanalog.com.
And with that, we usually start kind of a revision for the last week, that what's been happening on the page, what's been happening behind the page, and what are our plans for the future.
True enough.
So with that, what should we start with?
I'll start with the past.
All right.
That's the easiest. So I think it was one or two webinars back when we announced a change in our playback engine. And the idea was to get more stability to you guys. I know quite a few of you guys have experienced like clicking play and just got a gray screen or a few dancing green balls but no sound, and a few other annoying things here and there. The reason for that was in a software component that we got from someone who then later disappeared. And the software component has a number of bugs. So we decided to replace it. Or at least to replace a part of it. We tried that 14 days ago to increase the stability. Unfortunately, we kind of failed. Happens. So while we did fix the bugs that we knew about, we have unearthed new and even more mysterious bugs that we didn't know about. And that actually brought the overall experience to an even lower point. So we kind of tried fixing that on the fly, and unfortunately it didn't fly. So we just said, okay, no, let's not do that. And we brought back the old version of the playback engine. I think it was 3 days ago. So now it should be as stable as it was back then. Not perfect, but at least not as bad as it was in the interim time, like a week ago or such. So if you had problems, I encourage you to try again. And yeah, try it again and tell us if you've seen an improvement or deterioration. Any new bugs, just let us know in the built-in chat in the web application. It's in the bottom right corner when you're in the app, a blue circle. And with that, we've got the first question. Can we have Rupert Neve Master Bus future?
Well, certainly we would very much like that kind of future. But as it is, I think that at the moment we have at least two units in the process of automating and putting online already, with a third being a fairly good possibility, which brings us to the point where we start thinking about new additions or what to do next. Somewhere close to end of autumn, probably. So yeah, it's probably going to be some time before we start thinking about a future like that. But I do agree that Rupert Neve Designs is a manufacturer of gear that we will definitely want to have on board at some point.
Yeah, and that actually brings us to a point, I believe. When you have a request for gear, you can assume that we'd like to put it on. And the best way to move forward is, of course, to tell us. But also, you can just email or telephone or Facebook message or whatever the guys that make the unit. So, for example, you could go to the Rupert Neve Facebook, I guess, and then leave them a message saying, there's this thing called mixanalog.com. Quite a few brands are there already. They have this thing where you can use analog gear online. It would be really nice for me as a user so that I could use your gear there as well. So please think about it and try to work it out with the Mix Analog guys. So if you do something like that, then it's just that more likely to happen, because the first question all of these manufacturers will have when we approach them is, yeah, sure, but why would we do that? I mean, who's going to use it? And it's just so much easier when you can point to a few instances in the past and say, yeah, but these guys are already saying they want it, so you should. So anyway, maybe apply some pressure if you can, if you know these guys.
Well, that particular method, while maybe not as conventional as one would think, has proven to be quite effective in the past.
Yes. So to be very honest, yeah. It's netted us, at least one of the manufacturers that we have now have started working with us because users requested it. So users of Mix Analog told them to do it, and they did, which is great. So there's another question, also for the new gear, which is a API EQ or compressor. Have we considered anything like that? We don't believe we have one in the pipeline.
Yeah, so API stuff is unfortunately not one of those 3 boxes that are in the pipeline right now, but we did speak to a API representative.
Quite high up.
Sorry.
I think he was his sales manager, overall sales. So.
Yeah, on Frankfurt Musikmesse.
Mm-hmm.
So we are in contact, and we are definitely looking forward to do some more communication with those guys and see what we can come up with.
Yep, that would be really cool. API gear is very nice. It's used worldwide on countless hit records, so we'd really like to have it on board. So if you know someone from there, just tell them, we'd like to see API gear on mixanalog.com. Maybe they don't even know about it. Now they will. Maybe they'll consider it. So moving on, there's also another thing that happened last week, which was we went to the Super Booth, right?
Yeah. Sure.
So the Super Booth is a event that happens in Berlin, in Germany, and usually I always thought it's just for synthesizer freaks. So if people who are into modular synthesizers, they meet up and they make all kinds of pew pew noises, and that's it. But
it's quite an experience walking through the halls there, because there's literally hundreds of modular synthesizers in every corner, on every wall, and everywhere, and every one of those is making his own sound. So
it's amazing. So many young people too. It's just really nice to see that the industry is still infused with so many inquisitive new minds, new approaches. So you've got people who have been working on synths for 50 years, and then you've got people who have just finished university and are getting into their first project, and they're bringing these wild ideas inside, and some plasma based devices that nobody used before,
cool.
Or a synth that's actually made from mechanical parts and so on. It's so interesting, so very interesting. So we went there, and because we were tipped off by White Sea Studio, the guy behind that YouTube channel, that there was actually going to be quite a bit of pro audio guys. So we went there and we met quite a few people from the pro audio scene. So we met SPL, we met Presonus again after a long time. And so we've talked a lot about the future of Mix Analog and about how it could include them. And we came to some really fantastic leads, let's say. So hopefully you will hear more from us about gear from Universal Audio, SPL, and so on going forward. So this is really good news. We have some more industry standard gear also, not just like very boutique and so on, but also something that's really standard, like an LA2A or something like that. It should be in every studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I believe that it should be at ours as well. So it should be also on Mix Analog. We have another question. What is the next gear online?
Is it this one?
It would probably be the ADU. I think.
Yeah.
So we think the next gear online, like real gear, as in
a new type of processor.
Completely new type of processor, will be the audio destruction unit that we built some time ago, and we're automating right now. I believe the design phase is finished, so now we have to do the assembly and order the parts and so on. So it's a tube saturator, like a Culture Vulture or the Black Box HG2. So something in those veins, we're making that. And it will be available, I don't know exactly when, because it also depends on one other thing, the dry-wet units.
Yeah.
So those are going to hit first. We're going to first do the dry-wet units in a few weeks' time, we hope. We now have changed a bit how we do development, and we have a pretty good picture, I think much better picture of,
about the timeline.
Of the timeline. So before we were like, yeah, it's going to be in a month, I hope. But now we've organized a bit better, and we're going to really try to deliver you the dry-wet within 3 weeks. We're going to do our darnest to do that for you. And when that's done, then we can do the destruction unit, because the destruction unit is only good if, it's only good. It's very, very useful, even more when it has dry-wet.
Yes, we did just say black box. It's not this particular unit.
We shot it out against the black box.
Actually,
and ours won. So
yeah, actually, we were kind of skeptic about this this own design of how it fares against the black box, which is an industry standard. And we just took our unit to one of the studios nearby that has the black box unit, and we just compared the two. And actually, sonic-wise, it's very, very similar, but our unit has much more flexibility. So more colors, a bit more different saturation modes, more knobs. So yeah, very, very, very similar sound, but more control.
I'd also go to say that the tubes that we use inside ours are, they're not guitar amp tubes.
No.
They're like pro audio tubes used in microphone preamps and so on. So it's going to be a bit more controlled flavor, I believe. You'll be able to get more sounds out of it. It's not only guitar amp distortion, but it's more than that.
Mm-hmm. And when all those two, so the wet dry and mid-side add-ons and the saturator are finished, this is the next unit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this one. Maybe if I
just bring it in.
Closer.
Cool.
So
I'll probably hold it, and then you can go around and explain what it is.
Okay, so this is GYRIF Audio, passive aggressive, passive optical compressor with dual side chains. So this is not left and right channel, but it's actually two separate sidechain circuits that you can control in parallel or in series.
Yeah.
And that's some
wild.
Crazy mathematics going inside there, in terms of the detection of mids and sides and the combination of those. And it's something so unique that I haven't seen anything like it in any other compressor. And I can't wait to do a tutorial on this, because I, being an audio geek, really love strange boxes like this one. So yeah, I can't wait to dig really deep into this one.
Yeah.
And give you all the details and all the explanations, so you'll get the most out of it. And it really is a special unit.
Yeah. So it's a stereo compressor. It's full of transformers and an optical cell. So it's in a way technologically it's similar to LA2A on the gain reduction thing.
Yeah.
But then it's done completely differently. There's no tubes inside, and all of the like circuitry that the signal passes through is not active circuitry, and that's actually a good thing. It's like if you look at volume controllers, the ones that are the most, that are the best, that are considered the best, are passive. So that means they don't color the sound as much. And this is made in the same sort of, with the same sort of technology, or a similar sort of technology, where the idea is that it can do a lot of processing, a lot of really new kind of compression that you haven't heard anywhere else, but it's done in this very exciting passive way.
Just maybe a short explanation how a passive compressor might work, if you're wondering, is this box does not convert the signal into... So when you're entering the box with the XLR, you have a symmetrical signal. So pin 2 and pin 3 have a positive and a negative copy of the signal going inside the box. And this box does not go from balanced to unbalanced, but keeps the signal balanced. And the optical cells just control the bleed, or the cross feed from the positive to the negative part of the signal.
And just as the matter and antimatter annihilate each other, so do the positive and the negative signal cancel each other out. And so the more compression you apply, the more they cancel out, and the less they do. So it's extremely innovative. I don't think anyone else did it yet. So it's a really, really cool piece of gear. We're so excited to have it from Jacob Erland, the owner of Giraffe Audio. Very thankful for him to give us these units, and can't wait to put it online for you guys to try it out. So
that's for the question about new gear.
Yeah.
Where did we
talked about Super Booth and
sure.
the future of that. So we also met Warren Huart from Produce Like a Pro. Sat down for over an hour talking about everything about how mixed analog is exciting, how it's interesting, how it's new, what kind of people would like it, and so on. Warren had a lot of very interesting ideas, and we're gonna collaborate with him on a video that I believe will be on his channel. I'm not sure when, but we are starting an official collaboration at this point. So really cool, really excited. Warren's a really cool dude, knows a lot of things. Happens to be that he already was playing in a band in Europe when I was born. So knows his stuff, been around.
Yeah, he especially surprised me with the insight on the business side of audio production and everything that comes with it. Because as far as I was listening to his own videos and all that, but he's also very well versed in and I guess experienced in the business side of our business. So
yeah, he knows his stuff. So it's great chatting to him, and we've also talked to some other guys, industry experts, and the feeling about mixed analog is like really, really supportive and really positive, which is so nice after all the months of already years actually of hard work. It's nice to see the industry is accepting of what we do and is happy with us and sees a lot of potential and lots of opportunities for us to work with them. So we're happy to do that. That means more gear for you guys. That means more different manufacturers on board. So more choice. That's really something that we want to give you guys as much of as possible. So with that in mind, we've talked about Super Booth. Let's talk a bit about our surroundings, since this is the last time for some time I think we will see them.
Yeah, we are leaving Struer, Denmark,
No.
for at least a couple of months now.
Yeah.
We have to go back to Ljubljana, Slovenia to
Optimize.
yeah.
No, the thing is, we've been to the thing with Struer with Denmark has been we are guests here, and we have completed our acceleration here in Denmark by Acceleration Sound Hub. So now it's time to go and take what we learned and apply it back home. There are 2 more team members back home that we also want to work with now directly as much as possible, so that we can figure out how to be effective and a good team. So we'll do that in the following months, and then we'll see what happens.
Yep.
So this is the last time for some time having a webinar in these brand new offices in Struer. We'll be missing them, and but hopefully we'll come back.
Yeah.
At some point.
That means that the next time you join us on the webinar, you will probably have a look at our office.
Yeah, so it'll be in our office. The
So
other office.
The real one, when
where the gear is.
yeah, where the gear is and where the all the machinery is, and it's a
It's going to be exciting.
proper man hole
Oh yeah.
or man cave, or I don't know what's that.
Yeah, so there's a question of when Mix Analog will be full of users in the future. Well, it will be probably hard to book a time for a session. And do we have a solution for that?
Yeah, that's
Yes, we
the can it scale question that comes up every time that we talk about our business.
Yeah.
Because we are selling physical units that cannot be replicated instantly for
Yeah,
tens of
unlike
users.
plugins, which you can
Yeah.
just make 10 copies of and it works in 10 instances. Hardware is hard to copy. We can try right now, but I don't think if we try to do that, that we will end up with 2 units, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm afraid not. The speed of building another unit with the same configuration, so without the time needed to develop the custom electronics, but just doing another round of PCBs and installing them, that's easily done within a month for a single unit, maybe even faster.
Oh, it can be faster, yeah, but let's say a month.
And that, at least from what we've seen in the past year, is fast enough for us to adapt to new numbers or new requests of much more users. So if we see that a unit is booked, I don't know, 50 or 60% days or weeks in a row, that could be a good sign for us that a lot of people are probably waiting for a free slot, and that we should start thinking about a new unit.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, a new unit will appear on Mix Analog in a matter of weeks.
True enough. And since now we are more or less relying on manufacturers like Elysia and Bettermaker and Giraffe to put the units online together with us, they're partners. So when we are when we are looking like, okay, this is going to be, we will have to have another Music Q, for example, in 2 months maybe, and then we can tell Elysia to provide that unit. So in that way, it's not too hard for us, because we all take a bit of responsibility. We take responsibility for the automation, and the manufacturer takes responsibility for the unit. So in that way, then we can all make a nice scale of going from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to however much you guys will need. So don't be alarmed. The growth so far has been phenomenal, but very much under control. So we can definitely get new units in time. So, anything else we want to do on this webinar?
Did we forget something?
Let's think. No, we're moving back. We were at Super Booth.
Yeah.
We talked about dry wet. I think the only thing we didn't talk about was the uploads. If so, right? Oh yeah, about the tubes and the Pultec and
sure.
so on. Yeah.
Okay, so last week, or I think it might be even 10 to 14 days ago, but I don't know. So in the last few days, we've been busy refitting the Pultecs with new tubes because the stereo image used to be a bit off on the mastering rack, and that's not exactly a use case or a desired experience using something for mastering.
Yeah.
So we went off and retubed the Pultec, and the result was the same as before, which was mildly annoying. But happy us, we found a firmware bug that was causing the problem, and this bug is going to get fixed once we get back from Denmark next week.
Also, we are going to do the same sort of retubing and Fairchild soon. So first we need to find out which tubes we need to replace, then we're going to replace them. In sort of keeping with the theme of getting not only the awesome sound of the gear to you, but also like a very good performance, like good stereo matching, low distortion, good matching of parameters and so on between left and right side and so on. This has always been a priority for us, but now we're actually even going as far as to make tools for that.
Yep.
So Ziga here has been working on a tool to measure the aging of the tape, so that we can at any point in time make a measurement and see where the tape is on a scale of 1 to 10. How much life does it have left? So maybe you can say more about that?
Yeah, well, the basic prototype that I'm now putting together is a set of test signals that are testing the low shelf calibration point, the 1K reference, and the high shelf calibration point. And the DSP that I am writing right now is going to test for level discrepancies, so how well the tape is calibrated, so the input and output emphasis and de-emphasis filters are set, and how much of dropouts and wobble on those test signals appears in the signal. So we have some kind of metric about the state of the physical tape that's fitted to the machine. So the more
so we know where we are with tape. So when we buy new tape, we can take a look at it and see how well it performs. When we have tape on for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and so on, we can always take a look, check it. Is it deteriorating? Is it still working well? And then hopefully your DSP will detect the problems, these tools, and we're going to make tools for the tube units so that we know how the tubes are aging, and we're going to finish the tool for the tape so that we know how the tape is aging. And regarding tape, I think we already mentioned it on the previous webinar, but we're going to mention it anyway because maybe you weren't on that one. We got a new tape, the Studer A812, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is again a stereo unit, not a 16 or 24, unfortunately, but still a new color of tape, very, very much more like modern and recent than the Telefunken. The Telefunken is a very old, nice design. The Studer is also very well known and nice design, but it's much more modern. So we're hoping that it will be a nice sort of contrast to the unit, to the tape that we already have. So maybe also that makes a bit of an answer into how do we make sure that the big influx of users won't be taking all of mix analog sessions and slots. Well, as we add more and more and more gear, we think that the load is going to spread around. So maybe you want a tape machine, but you're okay with another one if that one is taken. So that also helps. I'm not saying we're only going to do that. Of course, we're going to make more instances of the same unit, but already you can see the effect when you have a Fairchild or a VCA and so on, and people can use either. So If you just want to try out some compression, some good analog compression, then you might try one or the other. And yeah, so there were 2 questions in the same time. So thank you for congratulating us. That's really nice to hear. A way to use the equipment in multi-tracks. Yes. So we definitely want to make a plugin like it's suggested down in the second comment, is how to make a VST, make it a VST app. That's definitely the way forward. We're gonna do that. We've had a lot of feature requests for that. We'll see when it will be possible, because this is a big one. The short things now we can kind of say, okay, it's going to happen in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, but something this big has been on our roadmap for ages now, and we want to start chipping away on it. We have actually done some, let's say, preliminary plugin work now, but it's not, by far it's not ready yet for prime time. So if you guys want to be in on the beta when it will be available, just tell us in the chat and we'll add you to some mailing list or something like that, where you will be the first guys to be able to try it. So just drop us a line in the chat. And the other solution for multi-tracks is just simply to have backing tracks. We don't have support for that yet, but it's on the roadmap and will probably happen before the plugin.
Yeah, that is something that we'll probably have to decide in the next few months. That there are 2 separate ways that we could take this application to. First is to implement more than 1 track simultaneous playback in the browser. So the app stays the same, but you can upload up to, I don't know, 8 stereo tracks, like stems, and then process 1 at a time, maybe even 2 at a time, and while listening to all of them at the same time. So it's kind of a combination of DAW and the simplicity of the system that it is right now. This is one chance, and probably option, it would take at least as much time to develop a plugin, maybe without a supporting app, maybe with a supporting app, that would allow you to plug in mixed analog functionality inside your DAW. So yeah, you could listen to stuff in context from within your DAW.
Exactly. So some options. We still need to decide. If you have a preference, let us know in the chat. Okay. So very cool. With that, do we have anything more to share actually? If you guys have more questions, let us know.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I think we touched base with almost everything that we do. Is there anything more?
Nope. I think we've pretty much covered everything that happened.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, guys.
So yeah, if there's no other questions, I know that there's some latency between us talking here and seeing what's happening in the chat. Yeah. But if we somehow miss your questions and close before them, please leave them in the comment or talk to us via the chat on our website. We are apart from sleeping hours in Europe. We are usually very fast to respond on the chat, much faster than we are on Facebook or on Instagram. So if you have a question about anything, please go to the chat on our website, because it's
the easiest and more surefire way to get an answer fast. You can use the other channels, but then maybe it'll get lost in the noise somewhere, or we won't notice. So the chat is the best, the quickest, and the least problematic. So yeah, even if we don't get your question now, you can just always drop us a line there.
And with that,
yeah,
thank you for your time.
Bid you farewell. Goodbye.
Bye, and see you next week.
Bye bye.